improper fractions. Yes?
Could I?
No, give us help. What is an improper fraction? Addie?
When the numerator is bigger than the denominator.
When the numerator is bigger than the denominator. For example, let's say we had 7/5. Since our denominator is 5, that means that our whole one is broken into 5 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The denominator tells you how many sections the whole one is broken into. The denominator tells you how many sections of the whole ones are colored in. So our numerator says 7. So that means we need to color in 7 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If our whole one's only broken into 5 sections, you can't color in 7 sections, right? So then, in that situation, you would have another whole one broken into 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we would need to color in 2 more of another whole number. Now we have 7 sections colored in, and each of our whole ones is broken into 5 sections. Now, how do you get rid of an improper fraction?
You have like a hole. You make a hole number.
Okay, you're going to hear this phrase said a lot this year. To change an improper fraction to a mixed number. And I want you to put this in all capital letters. Divide the top by the bottom. We're going to use that phrase a lot this year. Divide the top by the bottom. So, if we have the improper fraction 7/5, to get rid of the improper fraction, we're going to divide the top by the bottom. All you're going to do is you're going to put a division sign directly beside the denominator. And then you're going to put the numerator as your dividend inside the division problem. Now, how many 5s go into 7? 1. 1 times 5 is? 5. We subtract, we get? 2. Now that 2, we're going to put it as a fraction. That 2 is going to become our numerator. The number we divide by, the 5, is our denominator. And so now, 7/5 is the same as 1 2/5. We made one whole one. We had 2 sections left over, giving us the fraction 2/5. Let's say we have this. "12/5. To get rid of the improper fraction, divide the top by the bottom. Put the 12 into your dividend. How many 5s go into 12? 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract, you get 2. That 2 becomes your numerator. The 5 is your denominator. And you would have 2 2/5. Questions about that? The second thing that we're going to worry about today is simplest form. Yes. Now, have you ever heard the word simplest form before? No. Okay? Simplest form is when the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided by anything other than 1. Let me add something on it. Cannot be divided by the same number. How do I want to word it? Is when the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided by the same number other than 1. That sounds kind of confusing. I want to use the word reduced, but is when the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided, can both not be divided. Is when the numerator and the denominator cannot be divided by no, because it can be divided by anything other than 1. We'll leave it down and we'll do an example. Okay? If we have this fraction, 4/6, is there anything that we can divide the 4 and the 6 both by? Camden?
No. Yes.
They're both even numbers, right? We can always divide even numbers by what? 2. So that means that this is not in simplest form. So we need to put it in simplest form. So we're going to divide the top and the bottom both by 2. Now, 4 divided by 2 is? 2. 6 divided by 2 is? 3. Is there anything we can divide the 2 and the 3 both by? No. 1, but we can divide every number by 1. But there's no number other than 1 that we can divide them all by. Both in 5. And so 2/3 would be in simplest form. If we have 5/15, is there anything we can divide the 5 into 15 both by?
Yes.
Can't divide 5 by 3. Other than 1. Is there anything we can divide 5 and 15 both by?
5.
5. 5 divided by 5 is?
1.
15 divided by 5 is? 3. Okay? Now, with this idea in mind, this is why I said about when we're adding or subtracting fractions, we want to make sure that we use the least common multiple. Some of you guys said yesterday, well, what if we just simply multiply the two denominators together? I said, yes, that will get you a common denominator. But it will not always be the least common denominator. I said we talk about why it's important to find the least common denominator. Here's why. Let's say that we had the fraction 1/6 plus 1/8. No, you don't need to. Now, if you simply multiplied the denominators together, our new denominator would be what? 48. So you would have 1/6 equals something over 48 plus 1/8 equals something over 48. Agreed? 8 times 6 is 48. Take the top times 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Take the top times 8. 1 times 8 is 8. Now, when we add them up, 8 and 6 equals 14. The denominator is 48. Now, 14 and 48. Is there anything we can divide 14 and 48 both by?
Yes.
What?
2.
2. Because they're both even numbers. $14 divided by 2 is?
7.
48 divided by 2 is?
24.
24. So we had to reduce it. Now, had we listed the multiples of 6 and 8? Multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, 8, 16, 24. Here we have 24 as our least common multiple. Now if we use 24 as our least common denominator, we have 1/6 equals something over 24 plus 1/8 equals something over 24. 8 times 3 is 24. Take the top times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Take the top times 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Add them up. 4 and 3 are 7 and 24. And you see we got the same answer. But because we did not use the least common denominator, we had to reduce this fraction. Now, that does not mean that if you find the least common multiple and the least common denominator, that does not mean that you will never have to reduce them. You may still have to reduce them. But if you do not use the least common denominator every time, I will guarantee you that you will have to reduce it every time. And sometimes those numbers can be very large, and it can make it very difficult. So that's why it's important that you find the least common multiple first before using it as the least common denominator or using it as your denominator. Because if not, if you do not use the least common denominator, I will guarantee you every single time you will have to reduce it. Okay? Question? Okay, let's get your boards real quick. Let's say we have 2/3 plus 1/2. What is the first thing that we must do?
Find the least common multiple.
Find the least common multiple. Okay? So we list the multiples of 2 and 3. 2, 4, 6. 3 and 6. 6 is our least common multiple, making that our new denominator. Now we're going to write the column up and down. 2/3 plus 1/2. 2/3 equals something over 6. 1/2 equals something over 6. Now, 2 times 3 is 6. Take the top times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Take the top times 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now, if we add up 4 sixths plus 3 sixths, that gives you an answer of what? 7 sixths. 7 sixths is what kind of fraction?
Improper.
An improper fraction. How do you get rid of an improper fraction? Then, we're going to divide the top by the bottom. And now 6 goes into 7 how many times? 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract, you get 1. That 1 is your numerator, denominator is 6, and your answer would be 1 and 1/6. Question about that? Do this one. 3/4 plus 2/5. Finished yet. Okay, let's check it. First thing we do is list the multiples of 4 and 5. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20. So 20 is our least common multiple, making that our common denominator. Everybody agree with that? Yes. Okay. So now we have 3/4 equals something over 20 plus 2/5 equals something over 20. 5 times 4 is 20. Take the top times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 5 is 20. Take the top times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
If you didn't, do you see where you made your mistake? Now we're going to add them up. We're going to add the numerators. 8 and 15 gives us 23 over 20. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
If you didn't, do you see where you made your mistake? And now we have an improper fraction. How do you get rid of an improper fraction, Alexa?
You divide the top number by the bottom.
Divide the top by the bottom. 20 goes into 23 one time. 1 times 20 is 20. Subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 minus 2 is nothing. This 3 becomes my numerator. Denominator is the 20. And you have 1 3/20. Let's do another one. 2/4 plus 5/10. 6/10.
Are we allowed to try doing it that way with the multiply 4 by 10? Are we allowed to try doing it that way?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't develop a bad habit.
You're working harder, not smarter
Right.
to do that.
Don't be afraid to put that times 2 with the top number there again. That way you're sure that you're multiplying them both by the same thing.
And I disagree with you. You did what he told you what to do. There's another number where you're
No, you, now you have to add them. Oh, you didn't list the multiples, did you?
I disagree with you, Kelvin. There's another number beside 40.
Now that 2, I'm sure. Like that. What our number is. Okay. Okay, let's check it once. We list the multiples of 4 and 10. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 10, and 20. 20 is our least common multiple. Okay? I saw some people, once again, I tell you what to do. I can only tell you how to do it. You want to go on your own way, you're going to create more problems for yourself. So 20 is your least common multiple, that becomes your new denominator. So you have 2/4 equals something over 20, plus 6/10 equals something over 20. Times 2 times 2 is 12, times 5 is 10. Now we add them up. 10 and 12 gives me 22 over 20. Now, improper fraction, right? So what do we do, Ted?
We divide the top by the bottom.
And 20 goes into 22 one time. 1 times 20 is 20. Subtract, you get 2. That 2 is your numerator. Denominator is 20. Now, let's look at that. We have 1 and 2 20th. Is that 2 20th in simplest form?
No.
Is there anything we can divide the 2 and the 20 both by?
Yes.
What, Camden?
2.
We can divide them both by 2. Now, we want to make sure that we bring our whole number over. And now 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 20 divided by 2 is 10, giving you an answer of 1 and 1/10. Now, I'm going to tell you this. For your assignment tonight, if you leave it as 1 and 2 20th, for right now, I'm not going to mark it wrong. Okay? But as we move on, I will require you to have 1 and 1/10 as your answer. Okay? Questions about that? Now, you will have one other type of problem for your homework. Same basic idea, we're just going to add one little wrinkle to it. You're going to have 2 and 7/8 plus 1 and 3/4. Okay? We're going to have mixed numbers. But the process is the exact same. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to list the multiples of our denominator. 4 and 8. 4 and 8, 8. 8 is our least common multiple, making that our common denominator. Just watch. Now we're going to write our problem up and down. 2 and 7/8 plus 1 and 3/4. Now we're going to get the common denominator of 8. So 2 and 7/8 is going to be equal to 2 and something over 8. 1 and 3/4 is going to be equal to 1 and something over 8. Okay? Anything drastically different so far? Not really, correct? Basically the same idea. Now, 4 times 2 is 8, so we take the top times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 8 times 1 is 8, so we take the top times 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Now we add them up. When we add them up, the first thing we do is we add our fractions. 7/8 plus 6/8 is 13/8. And now we add the whole numbers. 2 and 1 is 3. Now, we still have an improper fraction. We need to get rid of the improper fraction. So we're going to divide the top by the bottom. 8 goes into 13 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract, you get 5. That 5 is your numerator, and the denominator is 8. Okay? Anything drastic so far, Camden? You're too worried about writing and not paying attention. Now, this 1 and 5/8 is what we got from the improper fraction, correct? The last thing we need to do now is we need to add the whole numbers. 3 and 1. 3 and 1 equals 4, giving us a final answer of 4 and 5/8.
Could you do at the beginning, like?
I want you to add the fractions first.
That.
Yep. Add the fractions first. We'll find out on Monday why I want you to do the fractions first. Okay? On your boards, real quick. Let's just say you had this answer. 3 and 7/5. Write 3 and 7/5 on your board. I want you to get rid of the improper fraction. And tell me what 3 and 7/5 equals. Eyes up here. Camden. What is the improper fraction?
7.
What?
7/5.
Stop, please. So I need to get rid of the improper fraction 7/5. Now 5 goes into 7 how many times? 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract, you get 2. That 2 is your numerator. The 5 is the denominator. That 1 and 2/5 is what we get from the 7/5. Now what do we need to do, Camden? Add the whole numbers 3 and 1, giving us 4 and 2/5. Let's do one more. Six and 5/3. Look up here, Gabby. Do the exact same thing we did here, down here. Not quite that. You see your Jasmine. see yours?
Mine,
Huh?
I can't find like how do you get them?
Okay. Keegan, how do you get rid of an improper fraction? Kelton,
By the bottom.
what's my phrase?
Oh.
Brett,
Divide the top and the bottom.
divide the top by the bottom. Never heard that phrase before? Keegan? Never! I've only said it 5 times in the last
Oh no,
5
I put it
minutes.
here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Divide the top by the bottom. What is my improper fraction? Keegan, look up here. What's the improper fraction here?
6.
No. The 5/3. So I'm going to divide the top by the bottom. I'm going to pretend for right now that that 6 is not there. 3 goes into 5 how many times?
Once.
1. 1 times 3 is 3, subtract, I get 2. What do I do with that 2?
Don't you move it up to the?
It's my numerator. What's my denominator?
The 3.
Yeah, the 3. Okay? The 5 is here with my denominator. So this 1 2/3 is what I got from the improper fraction. Right? And now the last thing I need to do is add the whole numbers, the 6 and the 1. 6 and 1 make,
7.
and so my answer is 7 2/3. Okay? Any questions? Okay, your homework. I don't want you doing any of the extra credit. Workbook page 138. All I'm going to have you do is 6, 7, 10, and 13. Okay, 4 problems. Okay, go ahead.